Tyra Ordain, aka the Cricket Rockstar, back at it again. Match number 8 of Republic Bank CPL 2026 between the Jamaica Kingsmen and the Trinbago Knight Riders at Sabina Park, Kingston, Jamaica was absolute madness. And I'll be absolutely honest with you, it was a very entertaining game. I was very pleased that the Jamaica Kingsmen did win the match, but at the same time, I felt very disappointed as a Trinbago Knight Riders fan. I was very disappointed with the team's performances, and that is not all. I was also displeased with some of the tactics that was used. It was absolutely rubbish, especially in the run chase, to say the least. Now, flash back all the way to the start of the match. The Jamaica Kingsmen, they won the toss and sent Trinbago Knight Riders into bat. And early on, TKR did got off to a very slow start as Monroe and Alex Hales, they, if I be honest with you, had a very torrid time. In particular, Monroe, 16 of 26 deliveries while eating up deliveries to start with. Then when you're trying to go on the attack, you throw a wicket away very cheaply. Then Alex Hales, he snuck around a little bit longer for 29 of 21. But these are guys, let me tell you all something. These were the same two guys that scored over 400 odd runs last year when TKR won its 5th title. But in all honesty, I find both openers have got off to a rusty start. Then they found solid foundational knocks from Captain Nicholas Puran, who made 44 of 32, and the evergreen Kyron Pollard, the former captain, he stepped up his game, fresh off a flight from the UK where he was coaching MI London at the 100, and Puran was their captain. Polly, he was absolutely destructive. He smashed 44 of just 22 deliveries, 4 massive sixes, 3 of those of 1 vital loss over, along with 3 boundaries that pushed TKR to an imposing 182 for the loss of 6 wickets from 20 overs. For the Jamaica Kingsmen, Pakistan's up-and-coming fast bowler Hunain Shah, his figures 2 wickets for 31, and Andre Russell, the veteran, playing against his former team, he took 2 wickets for 34, kept them in the game. And I gotta be very honest, I've been watching Vital Laws for a while. He's been doing well, but tonight wasn't his night. He really had a rough outing, conceding 51 of his 4 overs, and he still got a wicket, which was the good news. Remember, he's still a young man, and there are times where he'll have good days and bad days, but better days are coming for the 19-year-old. Chasing 183 for victory against a TKR bowling attack that includes 3 spinners, Sunil Narain, Akil Hussain, and Usman Tariq, also fresh off the plane from England. At Sabina Park, it wasn't going to be easy, but with the weak pace attack that the Knight Riders have, the Kingsmen was, I'll tell you this, the Jamaica Kingsmen found it very easy in the end. Player of the match, Kirk Mckenzie. Now, I'll tell you something about Kirk Mckenzie. I was a bit not pleased by how they were using him in the middle order. He's better off opening the batting. Now, a lot of people say he's a red ball player, but he can really show everyone that he can play the 2020 format as well. He played an absolute monstrous innings at the top of the order. He smashed 69 of 25 deliveries, 6 boundaries, and 6 maximums. He set the stage on fire, which left the Trinbago Knight Riders bowlers searching for answers. Also, Reza Hendricks provided stability support with Mckenzie. He made 37 of 25. And then Dre Ross down the order, polished off his former franchise with a quick-fire 27 of 15. He also had support from Rovman Powell at the other end. The Kingsmen crossed the line at 183 for the loss of 5 wickets after 18.4 overs, winning the match by 5 wickets with 8 deliveries remaining. Here are the positives and the negatives for both teams. So I'm going to start with the home team first because they were the winning side. For the Jamaica Kingsmen, it was Kirk Mckenzie. Now, everybody has been branding him a test match / first class specialist player. But tonight, this man struck at a strike rate of 270. Now, I was listening to the commentary earlier on by Samuel Badri, and Badri mentioned how Kirk Mckenzie was actually in the stands watching the recent West Indies Sri Lanka ODI series just for a couple of months ago. Coincidentally, this was the same one who I called on Darren Samyanko to select him in the team, yet still they stuck with the same old geezers there and they underperform. This man, Kirk Mckenzie, he is suitable for all formats, let me tell you. You can brand him a red ball player however you want, but he tonight struck at 270, and I'll tell you something, he crucified the Trinbago Knight Riders bowling attack with ease. And they were in cruise control from the power play. When the power play was finished, they, I think, got around 70 odd runs. I think 72 odd runs. And that was the game right there. That power play, the 6-over power play, the Kingsmen won the game right there, courtesy Kirk Mckenzie's fireworks. Then Andre Russell, he continued to be in good form, both with bat and ball. And now against his old team, the Trinbago Knight Riders, who he was a part of from 2022 all the way till last year, 2025, and was instrumental in Knight Riders' 5th title. He did it again. 2 wickets for 31 and a fiery 27 of 15 to seal the deal. Also, Hunain Shah, who I thought was excellent. His line and length and control, without a doubt, was too good and too hot to handle, especially in the dead overs on the night. He picked up 2 key wickets for 31, and his economy rate was under 8 runs per over, which is excellent. And I hope the Pakistani selectors are watching. He's one for the future. The negatives for the Kingsmen, and I'm not going to be hard on Vital Laws because I have finally started watching this lad bowl of late within the last few weeks, and he, in my view, was very impressive. But tonight it wasn't his night. Hence the reason I don't want to be harsh or critical. He did bowl some brilliant deliveries, but tonight he was extremely expensive, conceding 51 from his 4 overs, which is very unusual for someone who has so much talent and has been bowling excellently well of late. There are times, as I mentioned, you will have good days and you will have bad days. And I know he is going to bounce back magnificently going forward. Outside of Kirk Mckenzie, Reza Hendricks, and Rothman Powell and Andre Russell, and this is where we come to the negatives. Kesey Carty's 11 of 14 and Cheyenne Jangir, who had a horrid time behind the stumps, struggled to get going, and that's not all. They even put unnecessary pressure on Rothman Powell and Andre Russell, who, mind you, I have nothing negative to say of. These were the guys that won you the game. And even Rothman Powell's captaincy must be commended as well. Moving from the Kingsmen negatives and positives to Trinbago Knight Riders. The positives for TKR was Kieron Pollard. He brought the firepower that the Knight Riders needed in the middle phase to get them back on track. So was Nicholas Puran. Those were the 2 big hitters that rescued the Knight Riders after being in a little bit of a boggy situation halfway through. Remember, they were 69 for 2, and then the last 10 overs, they scored 113 runs for the loss of 4 wickets. It just goes to show, when you start up slow, you can bounce back and get into a position. But tonight wasn't just TKR's night, and then they really had a horrid time with the ball, which I will get to a bit later on. Once they would dismiss Pollard and Puran, they did fall apart a little bit. Then Sunil Narine came out and blitzed 19 of 8 deliveries in quick time at the end. Speaking of Narine, he was superb with the ball once again. Now, despite not taking any wickets tonight, he was very economical, only conceding 21 runs from his full 4-over quota. But the star of the show for TKR was Pakistan's off-spinner Usman Tariq. I thought the off-spinner, who has been in dangerous form from since last season with those 20 wickets, right behind Imran Tahir, he was without a doubt outstanding throughout his spell. Remember him, Puran and Pollard just came off of England from where they were part of the 100 and straight away made a huge impression. 3 wickets for just 21 runs at an economy rate of 5.25, the same economy rate of Sunil Narine, to be interestingly said, while everybody else were being massacred and taken to the cleaners. Talking about the negatives and speaking of the devil, Trinbago Knight Riders' bowling attack was a complete letdown, especially the paceman. Nathan Edward, expensive, none for 48 from 2.4 in his first game of the 2026 season. He was one of the stars in the 2025 season and had so many slower ball variations and change of pace. None of that was seen tonight as the Kingsmen batters massacred him. Terran Signs, again, very expensive, 1 for 48 from 3 overs. He went for 16 runs respectively, and This is just the second game in a row Terrantines is playing and has been very expensive. And what was so criminal was how the Knight Riders left out another left arm seamer who I think is a better all-rounder than Hines, Dominic Driggs, who was Knight Riders' second best bowler in the first match against the Patriots after Sinner Narain. And tonight they made a blunder by leaving him out. And I don't know what was the reason for him being left out. They could have kept him and Matthew Trump. You know, Matthew Trump was LA Knight Riders, one of their leading run scorers in Major League Cricket recently. And it was so mind-boggling that they left Trump and Drake's out of the team. And I don't know what on earth has been happening with Akil Hussain. Where's that wicket-taking power he had from the last few seasons? He's one of your premier left-arm spinners who is yet to take a wicket at this year's Republic Bank CPL after 2 games. He was very economical in the last game against the Patriots. Tonight, he was very disappointed. Wicketless for 39 from his 4 overs. The other negative, as I pointed out at the start, was Colin Munro, the man who scored more than 400 runs for TKR last season and just recently in Major League Cricket scored more than 400 runs for the Los Angeles Knight Riders. He's yet to fire at this year's competition, and it's very unusual for a guy who always scores runs at the biggest party in sport. Tonight, he was eating up deliveries like if it was a test match, scoring 16 of 26 at a disappointing strike rate of 61.54. And what was setting the Knight Riders back? It was the dot balls, very similar to West Indies. Even Ian Bishop has said it so many times about the men in maroon. The dot ball percentage is too high. This is T20 cricket where you cannot be playing dot balls. You just have to find the gaps, get the 1s and 2s, and when they settle, get those boundaries and maximums. And really, TKR missed out on opportunities tonight, without a doubt and with due respect. If they look back at this game, they missed out on opportunities at the right time. And truth must be told, they're a better team when they are chasing runs. Whenever they bat first, they falter under pressure. They were lucky a couple of times last year against Patriots. Outside of that, whenever they bat first, they most of the times lose matches. Whenever they chase, they would be the better side on the day. And I do hope Nicholas Puran and co can learn some lessons from this game. As a matter of fact, the next game TKR is playing against the Antigua and Barbuda Falcons next Saturday. And then they have 5 home games back to back. And really, they need to get it act together because this year's CPL, not like previous CPLs where you lose 1 or 2 and you have to fight back. Every game is very important, to say the least. And I do hope next game TKR can make some changes moving forward. Also in the news, moving away from slam bang T20 to test match cricket because history was created over in Northern Territory, Australia, in Darwin, as Bangladesh have defeated Australia for the first time in a test match on Australian soil. Overall, it's their second ever test match victory against Australia after a gap of 9 years. The last time Bangladesh defeated Australia in a test match was in Dhaka 2017 when Bangladesh still had their star players and was going through a golden generation as well. Since then, they've had their up and down performances, but this victory against Australia has to be their biggest one yet in a long time. Now, after Bangladesh pulled out Australia for a paltry 198 on the opening day, thanks to Hassan Mahmood's 6 wickets for 55, the visitors responded with a strong batting performance led by Tanzid Hassan Tamim, his maiden test match 100 in only his second test match to say the least. And then to Najibul Hussain Shanto, the captain, he led from the front as well after Tanzid with 84 runs. Come the third day, Mehndi Hassan Miraz, the former Bangladesh limited overs captain, he scored a gritty 65 to push Bangladesh to a huge second innings total, which led to the Australians being on the back foot for most of the time and in a precarious situation. Josh Hazlewood was the solidarity hero with the ball for the Baggy Greens. He picked up 6 wickets for 89 and in the process completed his 300 test match wicket haul. Chasing or looking to wipe out the deficit, Australia's second innings started in nightmare fashion. Hassan Mahmood struck early twice, removing Jake Weatherlord for a duck, and Travis Head for only 17. Steve Smith's 44 and Manas Labuschage's 31 did help the Aussies fight back a little bit, but Bangladesh spinners Tajibul Islam and Mehndi Hassan Miraz removed both set batters, and by stumps on the third day, Australia ended on 161 for the loss of 4, still trailing Bangladesh by 67. And with Cam Green and Alex Carey battling it out there for that unbeaten 39-run partnership. Now, Australia on the fourth day, they were staring down the barrel at 207 for the loss of 7 wickets, and Cam Green and the tailenders tried to mount a lower order fight back, only for Mehndi Hassan Miraz to clean up the tail, setting Bangladesh a target of just 57 runs. Mind you, Mehndi Hassan Miraz took a 5-wicket haul as well. Josh Hazlewood, he tried to keep Australia afloat early on, but unfortunately the damage was already done as Bangladesh comfortably knocked off the 57 runs on the fourth day, despite losing only 1 wicket before Mamin-ul Haq flayed a boundary of Boo Webster's bowling through backward point to secure a historic, famous 9-wicket victory. There were positives for Bangladesh from their top order. Tanzit Hassan Tamim, his maiden Test match century, set the platform up for Bangladesh. And finally, he can show everyone that he can play Test cricket, not just one-day and T20 cricket alone. He's got soft hands, patience, and waiting for the seamers to tire out. Hassan Mahmood's bowling brilliance and winning the Player of the Match award. He set up the entire test on day 1 by relentlessly targeting the stumps and relentless line and length discipline all the way through. His 9 wickets earned him the Player of the Match though. Then the lower order resilience from Mehndi Hassan Miraz and the tailenders did stretch the lead beyond 200, setting up a big lead and slamming the door on Australia coming back to save the test match on the whole. As far as the negatives were concerned for the visiting Tigers, there was that brief collapse against the second new ball from being in a position of dominance to lose 3 quick wickets on the second day. Almost gave Australia an opening back into the test match, but thankfully they did not let that happen. The only 2 positives for Australia from this test was Josh Hazlewood's 6 wickets for 89 in the first innings, which got him to 300 test wickets. And that is not all. It was a relentless spell when he didn't have any support from the other end. On the other hand, what was also encouraging for Australia was the always evergreen Steve Smith, who was the only one that stood up tall. And then Cam Green in the second innings, who's under a lot of criticism of late. He showed grit in the second innings, where he scored his 4th test match century in what was a match-losing effort. What also, or should I say, there were quite a number of negatives for the Aussies from the first day when they made an absolute blunder by opting to bat on what was a green top wicket. And then you still went ahead with 3 frontline pacers, 1 specialist spinner who, mind you, has not played a test match since the Ashes series in December in Australia. And worse enough, getting bundled out for 198. You think that is funny for a world #1 test team? Then Pat Cummins, Mitchell Starc, Nathan Lyon, they looked completely devoid of answers and were running out of ideas for Bangladesh long-running partnerships, which really frustrated this aging bowling attack, who I think is still one of the best attacks in the world. Overall, Australia, they need to wake up from its sequoiant slumber, because they know for the next 12 months it's not going to be any easy at all, because they'll be playing test matches non-stop. They have 3 tests in South Africa, 4 at home against Australia, 5 against India. Then they have the 150th anniversary test against England at the MCG. Then you have the Ashes series in the UK. So it's non-stop test cricket. And this is why I'm saying right now, you need to have a very strict workload policy, stopping players from going to the IPL next year, because you have test cricket non-stop. And what is the sense of playing T20 cricket when you barely play the other formats? If test cricket is your priority, then the only way you have to stay fit is having a very strict workload policy. And that's not all. Also play some Sheffield Shield cricket as well, especially the veteran fast bowlers. And that is not all. You need to also have some serious backup all the time for batters who are out of form, and select those based on merit from the Sheffield Shield. And that is not all. Even select up and coming fast bowlers as well from Sheffield Shield to the future, because after that Ashes series next year and then after the World Cup, Australia needs to start to focus on the future, because these guys, Smith, Stark, Cummings, Hazelwood, Lyon, they're not going to be there forever. And that is where the Aussies need to focus on the future, because once these guys retire, the next generation is going to come and try and do what previous Australian teams have done. Because Australia, we all know, they have a very serious cricketing culture when it comes to winning Ashes series and winning World Cups. Australia, they cannot afford, on the other hand, to go back to the early 2010s where they were struggling to win test matches away from home and struggling to win ICC events as well. Because what Australia should have done since the T20 World Cup and since the last Ashes series, building for the future. Why? Because these guys aren't going to be there after the next 12 months or so. And this is why Australia needs a serious operation cleanup. They've already moved on from Warner. They've already moved on from Khawaja. Sam Constance is not even in the reckoning, whether it's for Australia or even for New South Wales on the other hand. And this is why Australian cricket is in serious crisis now. Smaller teams are coming up and beating them in the shorter formats. And keeping aging players is not going to cut it. So if I was Cricket Australia now is the right time to find the next generation, because once the older heads retire, and then too, they need to get rid of George Bailey as the chief selector, and even Andrew McDonald, because these guys, they keep selecting their friends who aren't even performing, and this is a very serious concern. I will talk about that in a subsequent video, but that's all the time I have for this. Hope you guys liked it. Follow me on all of my social media pages, and until we meet again, folks, it's goodbye for now. And if you're a TKR fan, don't get upset, because you guys will get back on winning terms and I'll be very pleased. And if you're an Australian fan, think positive and have faith. Bye bye.